What's going on? It's your boy back with another video. Today is going to be the review for Halo 5 Guardians. This is going to be a should you buy it review. I'm going to break down things about the game, the graphics, the controls, the mechanics, the multiplayer, the things that have been changed, the things that have been added, and we're going to see if this game lives up to the hype that is the Xbox exclusive Halo 5 Guardians. Let's get into it, guys.
I tried to warn you this was happening. Cortana is no longer an asset, Captain. She is a danger. She has access to the Forerunner domain.
Story. Halo 5 Guardians story takes place with the threat taking over the solar system, and the only person who seems to may have the answer is the Master Chief. However, Master Chief and the blue team squadron Spartans are missing. You take control of another squadron called the Fire Team Osiris and Commander Locke, and you must search and find out what has happened to the Master Chief and find out if the Master Chief has something to do with this and is still loyal, or if something is wrong and he has gone rogue. Your goal is to stop the attack on the solar system and find out where the Master Chief and his unit is. Controls. Halo 5 Guardians controls are traditionally the same as any FPS game that is modern to date. However, Halo 5 is the first Halo game to actually introduce zoom down shooting, where you can hold the left trigger and use the right trigger to shoot, and now your gun will actually zoom in. Traditionally in Halo you didn't have this feature and everything was done firing off the hip. This is something new that modernizes the controls of Halo and brings it up to date. So there's not much other to talk about other than the fact that now this feels traditionally like an FPS game. However, there are other mechanics that have been added to the game that don't necessarily have to do with controls, but more like the abilities have been changed from Spartan armors. So the controls are traditionally the same. There's not much to talk about. If you played any other FPS game, you should be able to pick up this game and go right to town, especially if you play something like Battlefield or Call of Duty or any of the other popular FPS games that came after Halo.
Teammate down, red streak.
When you first pick up the controller and you go to play online, you'll notice armor abilities are gone in Halo 5 and are now replaced with Spartan abilities like ground pound, sprint, Spartan charge, and all of the other abilities that you were used to previously in other Halo games. Halo 5 has a new feature added to the franchise where you can actually revive your down teammates. Of course, this now brings the FPS up to date with modern FPS games. I also see an incentive for doing this for competitive things like esports. Now, of course, keep in mind when you do revive your teammate, like in all other FPS games, you are now vulnerable to attack. So this will add to the tactical abilities of the game and give it more edge and more thrill when playing online and playing more competitively. Of course, when you're playing in co-op against computers, you can also do this revive feature. So this is something good to see in Halo and has been added to the mix to give this game a lot more competitive edge, especially in something like I said before, a tournament or an esport. I can see why they added this in, and it's good to see them modernizing Halo and bringing it up to standards. Warzone mode is a combination of multiple modes from previous Halos. You and more than 4 other players this time around can go up against another enemy team, which makes this feature something that was never seen before in other previous Halo games. And I'm looking for this feature to be one of the more famous and more popular multiplayer online features that will be coming to Halo this time around. Co-op is now seamless. A player can pick up a controller and just drop into the game, taking over one of the random AI characters that are available and start playing with you. And when the player is ready to leave, they can simply just disconnect from the game, and the AI will then in turn take over the same character and you will go on about your game as if nothing happened. This is one of the features that Xbox sports in their games that really feels next gen. You will really be impressed with how on the fly this feature works and how there's no lag, no internet drops or anything when this happens. It's pretty smooth, and it's one of the greater features that Xbox One is capable of pulling off, and it definitely feels like a next generation feature. And last but not least, of course, everybody should know this unless you've been under a rock, split screen is confirmed to be gone, but I promise you they kind of made up for it with the co-op feature. So with that being said, this is just a small list of the changes that you will have to look forward to in Halo 5 and what you may have to get used to if you come from other Halo games and you're a veteran. graphics. Okay, the graphics are a department where we may need to have a little discussion. So let's talk about all of the details here, because there's a lot of things people may want to know. The game is not natively 1080p, but that's okay because it dynamically scales 1080p, and this is a time when you want it to work. It works fluently because it usually scales between what they said is 720 and 1080. So most of the time it will be in 1080, but when the FPS is being stressed, it will lower its resolution to accommodate the FPS, which is something you want in a first-person shooter. Now, of course, the frames per second are locked stably at 60. They do occasionally dip, but they stay traditionally extremely close to 60. So I would say that that's high enough to rate it at 60 locked. And I also say that I wouldn't commend 343 Studios for actually focusing on the FPS, because that's what you want in a game that has this much action. Now let's talk about the actual visuals. The visuals were pretty impressive, and they do feel next generation. Xbox has a lot of next generation feels in this game. And graphically, with the dynamic scaling and lock 60, you see that this is what you want from this type of game, and I actually commend them for achieving it by doing the dynamic scaling, because if you didn't have dynamic scaling, you would have this locked to 1080p and it would suffer from frame dips, and that would ruin the performance. So kudos to them for having excellent performance and graphical visuals in this game. Overall, should you buy Halo 5 Guardians? Well, let's break it down. The campaign has 15 levels. It's approximately 8 to 10 hours depending on how you play, with a whole bunch of co-op and multiplayer added in on top of the dynamic 1080p plus 60 frames per second. There's no reason why you should not buy Halo. Honestly, they put everything in the game, and traditionally in this day and time, when you have games that either have multiplayer and no campaign, or campaign and no multiplayer, you get both. So once again, something you've come to think was normal is now something you should praise. Now here's where I believe this is actually a good thing versus it just not being something that should be standard. The campaign has a great story. Some people are speculating that they won't like the ending or that they don't like the ending. However, that's a whole nother story. The fact that the campaign has a good story and it's intriguing is something that I think makes the campaign alone worth buying the game. Plus, let's be honest, nobody's really buying it for that. They're buying it for the multiplayer. The multiplayer has a ton of content and modes available to you. This is something that I think makes the game worth buying instead of renting. And I also think that if you played any FPS game or you enjoyed Halo at all, then you should get this. Now, for those of you who never played a Halo game before, you may want to check this out, because the one thing that I've noticed about Halo is it brings the enthusiast tryhard out of everybody. So with that in mind, if you're not somebody that's looking to really get into an FPS, then if you're a little casual, then you may not want to pick up the game. You may want to try it. But for those of you who know what Halo's about and you know what FPS and multiplayer online is about, with a good campaign added in, there's no reason at all not to get this game. So I recommend that you purchase this game day one buy. It's your boy Jimmybgaming. I'm out of here. Stay tuned for the outro. Well, alright. This was the review for Halo 5 Guardians. I hope you enjoyed it. If you found anything helpful or you got to the end of the video, do remember as usual to like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, a subscription to my channel or a like to the video helps me to produce more content like this. You already know the drill. Of course, all my social media and my gamer tag links are in the description below if you want to add me for a game or two. If you want to get wrecked online in some Halo or something like that, hit me up, of course. So hopefully, like I said, you leave a comment and let me know what you think. If you purchased Halo, if you didn't, why you did or did not purchase the game. Of course, let me know what's going on and what your thoughts are in the comments below. I'm out of here. Later. Video going up. That's going to be a new segment on my channel where I do suggestions on what people should get or use accessory wise for their gaming. So hopefully you guys mess with me on that. I'm gonna have like accessories for PC gaming, PlayStation, Xbox, and even Nintendo if that comes up. I currently do not own a Nintendo, so for you people that do Nintendo I apologize, I don't have it, so I don't feel like I should get up here and talk about stuff I don't know. I'd rather do that than talk about shit from the perspective like how people say, oh, that's crap, that's garbage, and they don't own it. So since I don't own a Nintendo, I don't feel like it's my place to talk about Nintendo, good or bad, because everything I'm saying is just an opinion, and I like to have some kind of factual, you know, information or tangible object in front of me when I'm talking about something, rather than just going based off what other people are saying.